What is up, fight family? It feels good to be back. Welcome back to another video. We're gonna be breaking down UFC 307, which takes place later tonight in Salt Lake City. So you know we got an altitude card. We're gonna watch a lot of sloppy fights later tonight. A lot of people are gonna be gassing out after like a round of hard work. And you know what, boys? I've been in a slump for like 3 months now, but I'm fucking back. I'm chilling today, feeling good. Let's get right to these cards. Break down the first fight of the night. Court McGee taking on Tim Means in the welterweight division. So I typically don't look at the odds too much until the night I make these videos, or usually the night of the fights, because it kind of affects how I make picks sometimes, and these odds change like crazy. We've got Court McGee sitting at almost 2-1 underdog money against Tim Means when they're both old, both coming off of a lot of different losses. Tim Means has one win recently, and I'm saying recently, and it was over Fialho, who is out of UFC now, was getting smoked by everybody, and it's Tim Means' first TKO win early in a long time. Court McGee hasn't looked terrible in his recent fights, but he's looked like an aging, 40-plus-year-old man, however the fuck old he is. And even if he was younger in his prime, the way that his style is, it's not going to bode well in the UFC. He's just not that technical. He's tough, and he has power in his hands. He has decent grappling. Tim Means has much better boxing. This fight is genuinely close to a pick'em in my mind, though. I think Tim Means should be a slight favorite. Tim Means has better kickboxing, better boxing in general. He has range, and he knows how to use it. He's not the worst grappler. I could see Court McGee outlasting Tim Means here. I could see Court McGee taking the shots better and doing better at altitude. I feel like one of these people trained there. I don't remember who. Maybe I'm thinking of a different fighter up the card. I really want to lean towards Court McGee here. Tim Means has looked a bit better, though, in his recent matchups, and he's also gotten harder matchups. I hate starting the night off with a loss. I'm going to start out with Tim Means, though. We're going to call Tim Means getting this one done by a decision. I think Court McGee is going to be tough, but I think Tim Means is going to be able to stay in there, just keep hands on Court. All he needs to do is not get clipped by like a looping hook, and he should be good. And you know what? Before I get into the next fight, because I just remembered, here are my stats right now for October. Now that we're in October, these are my stats as of this year. We've got over 300 fights. Not doing the best when it comes to main event win rate, clearly, but my pick rate in general isn't the worst, so take it as it is. We move on up the card to the women's strawweight division. Carla Esparza versus Tisha Pennington. Last time I checked, Carla Esparza was sitting at like a plus 160, which makes me want to pick her. And this is exactly why I try not to look at these things until I've already made my decision. Because on paper, I think Tisha Pennington actually should win this fight. She's a good enough grappler, and she's really good at getting back to her feet. She has a gas tank. I don't think she's going to have trouble in this in Salt Lake City. She definitely does better with her hands. But Carla Esparza, in my opinion, is a lot more dominant of a grappler. I could see Carla Esparza getting her down and holding her there, or at least making her more uncomfortable, taking a lot of control time out of the round, which is basically just winning the round in female MMA. So, gosh, it's hard. Carla is aging. They both are aging, honestly, and they have both not looked too crazy good. Carla got absolutely smoked in her last fight, but she was fighting the best female on the planet. Yeah, and Pennington went to a close decision with Ricci. Lost to Dern, beat Angela Hill. She has not fought too much in recent memory. Holy fuck. You know what? I'll stick with my gut here. I'm going to side with Tisha Pennington getting this one done, although I think Carla Esparza is good underdog money. If you want to make a little parlay with 2 favorites that you think are locks and 1 underdog to fluff it up, Carla's good parlay fluff. But I am going to trust Tisha Pennington getting this one done by a decision, just outlasting, showing a little bit more in the striking department for the judges. And we move on up the card, Ryan Spann versus Ovince St. Preux. What the fuck are these matchups, bro? Like, I'm not mad at them, but at the same time, did we have to fill the card with, like, wonky-ass fights in terms of betting? Because anybody that wants to bet on this card is going to have trouble, unless they're just, forgetting the risk and just deciding, like, I don't care if it loses, I'm just going to place this shit, because this is one of those cards. Ryan Spann should not ever be a minus 275 favorite against anybody ever again after dropping that fight to Anthony Smith in their rematch. And OSP, I don't think he should be that big of an underdog, considering he pulled off a fat underdog win not even that long ago, like last year or this year. I don't know who to trust here. You would think Ryan Spann, younger, has a bit less losses, definitely hasn't been finished as many times I would like to think on paper. But OSP actually is a better counter striker. They're both going to get tired. I think Ryan Spann might go for some wrestling exchanges, and that might fuck him up. Who knows? I think I'm going to lean towards Ryan Spann, though. I'm going to lean towards Ryan Spann because he has the wrestling in his background. He has a little bit of age on OSP. I don't even know why OSP still fights. I thought he retired at one point. I don't think his head's in the game the same way that it used to be. And he's definitely not a title contender or challenger anymore like he once was. I'm going to go with Ryan Spann, but again, if you're betting on this, I would just not pick one of these two fighters because they both, if I'm being real with you, they both suck. And they both lose fights they shouldn't lose way too often. And sometimes pull out wins they shouldn't get. That's a recipe for disaster. When we move on to the early prelims, we've got Cesar Almeida taking on Ihor Potieria. I like this fight. I think this is a good rebound for Cesar, who didn't look as good as I was thinking he was going to look in his last fight against Roman Kopylov. He actually got out-grappled and then outstruck because of the grappling threat. Now, Ihor Potieria can chase that grappling threat, but realistically, dude is chinny as hell. Let me just pull up his recent resume. Let's see. Okay, yeah, no. $5 billion, $6 billion, whatever the fuck the UFC is worth. $10 billion website. And I'm not ever able to load up these fucking fighters. God damn. Okay. He lost to Pereira, of course. He beat Bricek. That was a fucking impressive win. I thought Bricek was going to come out there and starch him. He did end up getting that win, but he lost to Bellato right before. He's just not that impressive to me. And I think Cesar Almeida working with Alex Pereira, working with Glover, working with Sean Strickland is going to help him tenfold in that division, especially as a new guy to MMA with already elite kickboxing. I mean, this guy has a win over Pereira. I'm going to trust Cesar Almeida to get this one done by a knockout. I think it's going to be emphatic. I think he's going to jump right back into the win column, and we're going to get some fun matchups with this dude moving forward at middleweight. We move on up the card. Austin Hubbard taking on Alexander Hernandez. The odds are crossed out right now, but the last time I checked, Austin Hubbard was starting to close closer to a pick'em, but he was like a 130. I think people are realizing that with Alexander Hernandez, even with people that on paper he should smoke, we all know that he has like a round in him. And after like that round and a half, he starts to fucking fold. Austin Hubbard is the perfect recipe to beat a guy like that. He's durable. He's got good enough hands. Decent enough counter grappling. I don't think Alexander Hernandez is just going to be out wrestling Hubbard, but he could just take him down and hold him on his ass. If Alex Hernandez fights as smart as he can, this should be a win. But I'm done picking Alexander Hernandez. I'm done trusting this guy. I'm going to look back one day and see how many fights of his I've picked, and I don't know if I've gotten any of them right. So I'm going to trust Austin Hubbard getting this one done, surviving a tough first round, TKOing Alex late in the second or like beginning of the third. I think that altitude and Austin's pressure is just going to wear on him, and he's going to outbox him. We move on up the card. A 150 underdog that just does not make sense, bro. Marina Rodriguez taking on Yasmin Lucindo. Yasmin Lucindo has the grappling. She's going to be chasing the takedowns. We've seen that Marina has trouble dealing with that, right? And she honestly did not look that good against Jessica Andrade. I still thought she won the fight, and I thought that the judges robbed her. But at the same time, she made it too close. She was whiffing a lot of shots. She was getting clinched up a lot. But Jessica Andrade is also just a difficult female to figure out for a lot of these fighters. I think Marina Rodriguez is much better than Yasmin Lucindo. I think outside of maybe some stressful grappling exchanges, Marina Rodriguez is going to pretty handily whoop Yasmin Lucindo on the feet, comfortably win a unanimous decision. It might get a little bit close, but I think Marina is just overall so much better. She should win at least 10 minutes of this fight. We move on. We're ending the prelims with a banger. This fight should be on the main card. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson taking on Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin hasn't lost at welterweight yet, and now he's taking on his toughest test, in my opinion, in Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Wonderboy, he's looked good, like as good as you can against some of the matchups he's had recently. At the same time, you know this dude is just old, and he can still crack, he can still bang, he can still take a punch, but I don't think he can take the power from Joaquin, and I also don't think that he could thwart the wrestling. I think Joaquin knows that he needs to go in there and force takedowns. You don't want to stand and kickbox with Wonderboy. You're not going to be Kevin Holland trying to entertain the fans or whatever his cope reason is for why you can't beat a 40-year-old Wonderboy. Joaquin Buckley, I think, is going to go out there and spam them takedowns. And I'm going to be really upset if he gets just like flash KO'd out of nowhere by something, because this will be the one time I'm like finally siding with Joaquin and he doesn't get the fight done. I picked up against him against Vicente. I picked against him against Ruzaboev. I've picked against him a couple of times now. I think it's time for me to trust Joaquin and his momentum. And then we move on into the main card. Kayla Harrison taking on Caitlin Vieira. Look, Caitlin Vieira shouldn't be a plus 600. I think that's just so disrespectful. She's still the number 2 bantamweight in the world. She still has submission threat. She's definitely a better kickboxer than Kayla Harrison. But Kayla made weight. So I think Kayla Harrison's going to come out here and absolutely smash Caitlin Vieira. I think it's even possible that she can get a finish before the 3 rounds are up. And if you are a betting man that wants to take a risk, go for that risk, because Kayla Harrison could find a TKO just as easily as she could find a submission. I think that we're going to find out really quickly if Ketlen Vieira can deal with the grappling. And if she can't defend the first couple of shots, she can't out-scramble or do something, make something happen, Kayla Harrison is just going to run right through her. I mean, in my opinion, this is the bantamweight champion. It's just a matter of beating the scale the couple of times she's going to have to do it. And I think Kayla Harrison's better for the sport too. So I want her to get the win. Yeah, I'm going to start with Kayla Harrison. She impressed me against Holly Holm. We move on up the card. Roman Dolidze taking on Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland's getting a shot back in the top 10 at middleweight, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's showing that the UFC respects how much he hustles. The only guy that fights as much as this guy is Alex Pereira, and he doesn't even fight as much as Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland has like the most ridiculous like fight rate I've ever seen. It feels like it's like once every month and a half that I see this guy out there. Roman Dolidze has the exact style that was fucking Kevin Holland up at middleweight. You know, take you down, hold you there, lay and pray. Don't really chase submissions or nothing, because Kevin is just gonna be out-muscled and out-skilled when it comes to grappling. You know, he has decent jiu-jitsu, but he is not a wrestler. He fucking sucks when he gets taken down, and it's almost like he just wants to try to look for subs or do shit off his back rather than fucking push their head down, put your hips back, and stuff a shot. That's all you need to do sometimes, bro. I want to trust Kevin Holland here. You know, he is a slight favorite for a good reason. He has way more finishing potential. Roman Dolidze has such an easy matchup here, though, to just hold him on his ass. Fuck. I'm going to trust Kevin Holland to get an emphatic finish. This guy usually does it to people that are low ranked or just outside the rankings. Roman Dolidze might just be too much of a grappling threat, and this might really piss me off later on because it'll be free underdog money that I missed out on. But I'm going to trust my boy Kevin Holland. I think he's also better for the middleweight division. Roman Dolidze had such a shit fight with Anthony Smith that I don't even ever want to fucking watch him fight again. The Georgians, man, we're 2 for 3 on boring-ass Georgians. And I like Merab, but his fucking fighting style sucks. And Roman's does too. So I'm going to hope that Kevin Holland finds some weird, wacky submission or TKO like he kind of tends to do. Don't be surprised if he gets held on his ass, though. We move on. Feature fight of the night. The King of Rio, Jose Aldo, taking on Mario Bautista. Jose Aldo should be just continuously getting top 5 fights. I don't know why we disrespect him like this. Honestly, Dana White is such a pig. But, yeah. Jose Aldo versus Mario Bautista. Jose is an underdog once again against a young up-and-coming guy, and I'll just never understand it. Mario Bautista lost his fight against Damon Blackshear. Don't give a fuck about what any of you guys say. He lost that fight, and the judges gave it to him. This isn't the same style of matchup at all. Obviously, Damon Blackshear is a grappler, and Jose Aldo is a striker. Mario Bautista is talking about how he's going to bring the pressure, yada, yada, yada. No, you're not. You're going to chase grappling, and once you realize you can't get this king down, he's going to start putting hands on you. When are we going to learn to stop putting Jose Aldo at underdog money? I don't give a fuck. I'm dying on this hill. I've bet him every time they've done this, and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm betting Jose Aldo to beat the brakes off of Mario Bautista. I think Mario's tough enough to not lose. Similarly to Rob Font, similarly to Jonathan Martinez, he's going to get rocked. He's going to kind of get wobble all over the place, but he's going to keep his wits about and survive and probably last to a decision. But Jose Aldo's just going to clearly whoop his ass. And we're just going to all be praising Aldo online again and wondering why the UFC just never gives him good matchups. They could give him Dominic Cruz. They can give him Cejudo. They can even give him an O'Malley if you want to have big matchups. But instead, we just waste his legacy trying to prop up people that can't fucking hang with the guy. It genuinely irks me, bro, because Aldo is one of the best people for the sport. He's never been anything but good to the UFC, and they continue to show their true colors by giving him fucking piss matchups like this. It's enough of my rant, but, like, honestly, fuck him when it comes to that shit. And we move on to the co-main event of the night. Raquel Pennington taking on Juliana Pena. Pena's at plus 140 underdog money. I think it's because Pennington is fighting in Salt Lake City, and she, I believe, already trains at altitude, at elevation. I was fucking fusing the words there. And you know what? She did surprise people in her last fight. I don't know why I picked against her, because prior to my official picks, my early picks, I had Raquel. And then I picked against her for her title fight, and she gets it done. Juliana Pena, I think, if she can't immediately get the wrestling going, might be a fish out of water. She might look a little bit startled in there with Raquel, who I think will be able to put some hands on her. But I think Juliana's boxing will surprise people. It's going to be similar to DDP. He's going to just be in your face and then, like, using it to chain wrestling, which looks really scrappy. But yeah, I think I've got to trust Juliana Pena here. I also think she's better for women's MMA. I think if her and Kayla Harrison can get this one done, it's just a clear, good matchup for the women's bantamweight division. We can maybe get that division going again. It's felt like years since that division was a thing. You know, at least when Amanda Nunes was here, like, we were watching her fight semi-frequently, and everyone would bitch about her being the co-main event of cards and whatnot, and sometimes main eventing, but at least we were watching that division move. Nowadays, it's just like, why is it even fucking there, you know? So I hope Juliana gets it done. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Raquel gets it done. Almost this whole card, I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if the person I picked against wins, because nobody is a lock in my opinion, except for this man. We're moving to the main event of the night. So if you've seen my early prediction videos, I had Khalil Rountree, and even some other videos before this fight was ever announced. I didn't necessarily predict that he would get the next title shot, but I was calling for Khalil to get the title shot, even though hella people were ahead of him, even though Magomed Ankalaev should have probably gotten the title shot. I've always been preaching for Khalil because stylistically, I think this is the most fun fight we can get out of an Alex Pereira matchup if he's not fighting Israel Adesanya. Khalil Rountree Jr. is a threat, bro. I've always been a fan of this guy. For a long time, he was just under the radar, putting together some of the most brilliant finishes you can see. Violent, like, street fight finishes. And I felt like he got no recognition at all. Now, a lot of people are starting to kind of bandwagon onto him. And a lot of the younger fans are starting to, like, take his TikTok, or take his clips and, like, mash them together on TikTok, make a little, like, sad edit about how he used to be a fat fuck, and now he's not a fat fuck. Listen, dude, that's cool that you lost weight. Like, I'm glad you're out here showing for the people that need a role model, that anybody can do it, but it doesn't, you're getting smoked. I was wrong to trust my gut with Khalil Rountree. Look, I trusted Yuri Prohaska both times because of a gut feeling, and I was wrong. Look, Alex Pereira is just that guy. And despite the fact that Khalil does keep his hands up, despite the fact that he's explosive, he's got the knockout power, he's definitely got more fight IQ than Yuri Prohaska, in my opinion, and Jamal Hill. Doesn't matter, bro. Alex Pereira has the frame, he's got the kickboxing, I'm spacing on the word there, but he's basically got the accolades. He's got all the momentum in the world. I just think he's the guy right now. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if Khalil gets it done. I still have that weird feeling that we're going to see a big upset and the end of Alex Pereira. But I have to switch. For the first time in channel history, I'm not dying on a hill that I would usually die on. I'm going to switch my pick. Going with Alex Pereira, getting this one done in under a round and a half. If you don't want to bet on specifically a winner because you're nervous, bet under a round and a half. Either one of these guys should be smoking each other pretty quickly. If it does end up being a longer, like, drawn out, actually competitive fight, that's best case scenario for all of us that aren't betting. Just as a fan, that'll be a fun fight to watch. But yeah, I'm gonna side with Alex Pereira. I don't really want either of these guys to lose. I hope Khalil Rountree rebounds from this and builds another streak and stays in that, you know, top echelon at light heavyweight, because we could use a guy like him. But I do think Alex Pereira is gonna get it done. I'm gonna stop my yapping now because it's been 18 minutes of this shit. Let me know what you guys got down below. Sorry this video is getting posted a bit late. Like I said, I've been in a rut, but your boy's out of it. I was fucking with a toxic ass girl, but I'm done with that. I'm up. We up. I'm gonna catch y'all.